Yo, what's going on, everybody? I got some fucking stink here for you. This was when I mean stink, I don't mean like bad, but like, some fucking stink, dude. And this is what I got for you. Some absolute fucking foul odor fucking big dick ass fucking deck, dude. This is Armed Dragon with Dragon Rulers, and a bit of some stink, a bit of sprinkled on stink right on top. This shit is an amalgamation of a bunch of different ideas, but the core idea that I made it with was with Dark Arm Dragon. I said to myself, how do I make this card playable? And so you realistically, if you want to make it playable, you have to play in a you have to play an Armed Dragon deck because how else are you searching this card, dude? Um, and you have lots of different ways of actually searching it in this deck. Particularly one way, and when I mean a lot, but a lot of different ways to get to that one way. And that one way is Armed Dragon Thunder level 7. But you can get to it with level 5, you can get to it with a Tempest. Both Tempest effects. The second one, when he's banished, actually does something I don't think of often, but it's totally doable in this deck. Obviously, Pile Arm Dragon gets you to it. He gets you to anything you want pretty much in the archetype. Fantastic card. So that was the idea, and I was like, okay, how do I get darks? Like, this is Dark Armed Dragon. How do I get fucking darks? And so I was thinking about it for a while, and I realized, okay, I could do this actually. Like, this is a viable way of doing it. At first, I was trying a bunch of weird dragon stuff, like, okay, if I normal summon level 3, and then I make Striker Dragon, and then I go into Dark or something, I was like trying all this shit. I was like, it's kind of working, it's kind of not. It's a little janky, and it just makes the deck worse for it. But then I thought, what level 7s could I work with? And this was the answer I came up with, was Arsenal Falcon, because it is generic in material, and it's just 2 level 7s, and it summons a dark, or it summons a wing beast from deck. There's some pretty good ones from the deck. So I got to thinking, I was like, I could do some wise tricks nonsense with this. And that's what I did. So that's pretty much my go-to to getting to darks. Getting exactly 3 at any given time is easy. So you can get Dark Armed pretty easily, and you can get 3 pretty easily as well. So that's not the problem here. The problem is that I don't want to use him going first. So at first, I had actually made a going second strategy deck, which is this. And it's not bad per se. It's not bad. I'm using Book of Eclipses just because it's a better going second card, and Ash is better going first since I could use it with Burner. Um, but the idea that I had with it was okay, I'll just use it because I want to pop things with Dark Arms, because that's the point of the card, a non once per turn, pop, target pop. And I thought to myself, like, that's not bad, and I can do it very consistently with this way. But ultimately, this just kind of stinks. It's not bad, but it's not great either. I think going first is just better. There's going to be wild differences in the extra deck, but I feel very confident about this version of it. There's a lot of janky jank to it. In terms of going first, I actually think Master Duel's better. Partially, not better for Dark Armed Dragon, but better for Armed Dragon. If you're playing an Armed Dragon deck, I think going first in Master Duel is a little bit better just because you get access to Auroradon, and basically 2 level 7s make Draco Sack, 3, you get 2 tokens, and you make Auroradon, and you just kind of go ham. You can make Baron, you can make Savage very easily. Um, and then you have extra shit to fuck with. But the differences between that is we don't have Auroradon. So I feel like this is not bad though for the TCG. You could switch these out for like imperms or something. I just kind of put them in, I left them over. I kind of like it, so I just kind of kept it. We have enough room for about 6 cards to fuck with. So whatever, right? The extra deck I do feel is super duper tight. I feel like there's certain things like this. I would love to put Heretic Seal in here, but I kind of need all of these cards, man. It's a little difficult. Like maybe like Big Eye, like some of these like maybes, like Don Dragster maybes, but this is a maybe as well. So I don't know. That's a bit debatable. Um, but yeah, I like it. So basically, I can show you the combo and stuff. I'll quickly just go over the cards and the ratios. Pile Arm Dragon is the best card in your deck. Dark Arms is probably not necessary, but in this version, I feel like it's actually pretty good. I made it so it's not like, when you play something shitty, and you want to make it work, usually it's just suboptimal. And it's like, if I just take it out of the deck is way better. In this case, I actually do think he brings a lot to the table that makes it pretty good. Particularly, you look at this card, this piece of hunk of shit, and it's like, this card's not bad. It's just not good either. This card's fucking trash. It costs way too much to get into it, and it still requires another discard. It costs like 4 discards just to do fucking anything with this card, which is why it's bad. And it has the worst protection I've ever seen. Can't switch control. Okay, cannot be destroyed by battle. Bro, the whole gimmick of this card is to get a shit ton of attack. When is it dying to battle? It dies to anything else. It's 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 awful. It's simply just awful. And but Dark Arm Dragon's pretty good. I think it's better. I think it's well, it's obviously better, but I think it's very good. I think it's worth playing as a one of. Level 7, it's how you getting to this boy. How you get to your dad, your father. Um, Level 5 is fantastic. Level 3 is fantastic. The baby rulers, so good, so good. The dragon rulers, so good. These cards are like kind of the deck still. Like these cards are nuts. I love these cards. Um, and they work fantastically with the Armed Dragon cards. It's just fucking awesome. Tempest, amazing. Blaster, not great, but it's a Dragon Ruler, so it's totally worth playing. Dude, if they put Tidal in this deck, that shit gets nuts, bro. Armed Dragon Flash, worth playing, because we want to save our normal summon. It's worth playing in case we need something to do it. It also works really well with Hyperton, or Hyperiton, however you pronounce this. It's necessary. In terms of a level 7 search, you have the choice between Flash and Dark Arm Dragon usually, because you don't need any of the other ones. You usually start with Pile Armed, and going for it late doesn't. You're usually out of discards to begin with as well. So it's either an extender in Dark Armed or in Flash. Flash is sometimes really good with Hyperiton, so that's why I also think it's really good. If you just hard draw it, I think it's fine as well. Yeah, whatever, you could replace that. I think this card's worth playing as a 3 of. I see it played a lot as a 2, but I think in this variant I would prefer to have more extenders than not extenders. It's very imperative that we go into our rank 7 as like that's our combo line. It's 2 level 7s, no other cards are necessary. We don't need extenders. It's 2 level 7s. Armogram, I wish I could play it in more of because it's so good in this version with Dark Armed, but it's a level 10, so it's just kind of meh. These are 4 kind of garnets you really don't want to draw, but unfortunately, they're not the worst to draw. They're not going to hurt your combo. You just got to like think a little bit more about it. Destrudo, I don't know. I'm not sold on this. I don't really know what else to put in the deck, but I kind of want more dragons, level 7 dragons. And it's a level 7 dragon, but it's not coming out as a level 7. It kind of works as a Dawn Dragster level 7 with one of the level 4s, I guess, or it works with the level 3 as well for the Dawn Dragster level 7. It's there. I don't know how much I'm crazy about it. Ash because it's good and it works with Burner, pretty much. Also Blaster. And then to the extra deck, I feel like it's easier for me to go over it when I'm showing you a replay. So let's watch the stink in action, dude. Let's watch this absolute stank replays. All right. So this one felt pretty good. So I was playing against the bot. The bot sucks, but the point of it is that they have some amount of interruption usually. This guy bricked extremely hard. Um, but I just want to show you the combo line. That's the idea behind is the combo line. I can show you me playing through shit, but realistically, so immediately looking at this hand, it's pretty fucking good. This is a really good hand. Having Dark Armed immediately is fantastic, but also just everything else is great. And I'll show you why I like Dark Armed. I actually kind of like it better in going first because of the potential for plays around him. So he either works as an extender or triple pop, but I think he's a turn 3 card. I think he's a very very fantastic turn 3 card, and I'll show you why. Okay, so we're just going to start it. We're going to send that for the draw one, see what we get. Okay, level 5 is not too bad. It's pretty good, actually. So we can get the search here. Go for Armed Dragon Flash is our spell, and it's also an extender. We have Burner. We send the one that activates from the graveyard as an extender from the graveyard, and we have level 5 to discard. We could have set it up in a different way if we didn't draw that. Like, for instance, we could have sent off of Pile Arm, could have sent the level 5, which starts to level 7, and done the exact same thing, and then we'd have the 7 here, just no Flash. Then we would get the Flash. We just wouldn't have the 5 here. So we have an extra card, technically, but it doesn't matter too much. This is where we get into Arsenal Falcon, and then we bring out Zephyros. It's very imperative that you go with Zephyros here more than any of the other ones. And then Y-Strix to Wing Beasts, and then it's Darkwing Beast. Yep, Darkwing Beast. They bring out Raiders. You have to do it in this way, and then Zephyros bounce it. And this is why it's important to have our normal summon, because we kind of need to. If we didn't have normal summon, we could have summoned Blaster and then bounced Blaster back to hand, but it's not that big a deal. Um, Otherwise, our normal summon here is fantastic. So that's why we use our normal summon, because we don't use it really on anything else. And then you get to search for the extender, and then he's an extender. So 3 level 4s equals 2 rank 2 rank 4s. Pretty cool. And then from here, so there's actually a few ways you can do this. This particular line. If you want to, you can just keep the Abyss Dweller. That's why Abyss Dweller's here, is that if you want to, you can keep them. Because there's other utility 4s like Galagranite I was testing with, and Nibiru. Just search Nibiru and then use them as a rank 4 Utopia UFD. But instead, I decided that Abyss Dweller is just a little bit better, just because if you want to, you can keep him, and then you can send 4 Strix to the grave, and then use Soul Shave Forest for Infinity. So you can have Infinity, and you can have Apo and Abyss Dweller. But in this particular case, I decided not to do this because we just have crazy amount of extenders. So instead, I've decided just to make the UFD. So right here we have 4, but if we use this Shave Force, we'd have 3 darks in the graveyard. So right here we use Shave Force, and then we go into Hyperion, the 2 ranks above the 7. It's a negate. It's a monster or anything that can be. So if I use the trap here, I could put a trap underneath. But I'm going to use a spell here, and it's going to put a spell underneath. So we have monster and a spell negate, depending on which one we want. But right here, we have 3 darks perfectly in the grave. So if we wanted to use Dark Arm Dragon as an extender here, we could. But I've chosen to keep them, and then that's when you trigger that to get the spell underneath. And then the extender, there's no reason to use its effect, because we're going to use it for that. And we actually decide, so we can end it here and just go on Apple 3 material. We could even go Apple 4 material. But I have even more extension available to me. So I decided that I would do something else. Because we get the search, and then Armogram. These 2 cards together, turn 3 follow-up is nuts. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. Because this is a negate. He's an extender from the grave as well, and the hand. This guy is 3 pops on the board, and you can set up the darks with this guy, because he banishes Wing Beast or dragons. All of our darks are Wing Beasts. All of them. We don't fuck with any other darks that aren't Wing Beast. They're all Wing Beast. So you can fuck with the numbers that you need with Armogram. Fantastic. Fantastic. It's pretty cool synergy. Just fucking around with it. And I just like, huh. I decided to go to Draco Shack. If Diabolos was unbanned, you could go in Diabolos right here. Rip up their shit, and then you'd have all your negates still. And then Armogram for the extension, because we have the numbers for it. I think we have 4 darks in the grave right now, but he'll be live again my next turn. And then we have 3 material Apo. Just use Draco Sack. I keep saying Shack. Might as well, right? Just lots of shit to fuck with. This thing's a little bit more difficult to deal with, since it can't be destroyed while you have it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect while you have the token. So you have that, you have Blaster in there, and if we had Tempest in there, we could banish the Tempest to get the search for the Armogram if we didn't already have it, but we do, so there's no need to do that. You let them play, they bricked, brick on brick, we let that resolve. I don't know why he goes for that, it didn't matter. We had just infinite negates. I go for that. Interesting, if you have a full board, it just sends it to the grave. You don't even steal it. I didn't know that. Alright, yeah, we get Ash. Who cares? It doesn't matter. And then from here, I clear the board with Draco Sack to pop the other thing. It can't attack now, but it doesn't matter. Banish one of the darks. Dark Arms live. It's kind of sick. It's kind of sick. I get it that they misplayed. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. I had like tons of negates. You could say, oh, they could have like popped. Well, they didn't have a normal summon, but even if he searched like Long John, it didn't matter. I had pretty much everything I needed, because I just would have negated Long John with like Apo, right? It didn't matter. Tons of pop. The top deck that didn't matter. We had a good draw, but it didn't matter either. We had a way around it. But yeah, that's That's the deck, dude. I kind of love it. It's kind of sick. I'm not gonna front. It's not like, I'll say this. It's not unfair. It's not like a deck where it's gonna be like the kind of deck that just like puts out a floodgate or something that is just impossible to flood like to play around. Abyss Dweller is a floodgate, sure, but it's not the worst one because if you're going first, you don't really know what they have, and it in some ways makes my board a little bit more worse since I can't go into UFD, and instead of I pretty much end on Abyss instead of UFD, I have Abyss Dweller pretty much, and I could still have the Draco sack in this particular case because I had the extra extenders, but you know, uh, it would have just been instead of the Hyperion, it would have been Infinity, right? Cyber Dragon Infinity. God, I feel like I'm brain farting like crazy right now, but you know, it's there, right? If you really want to, depending on the matchup. UFD is obviously fantastic. Lots of just hard to kill things. Draco Sack would have been hard to kill. UFD is hard to kill. Negates, pops on my follow up turn with Arma. Arma's a negate. It's an ignition negate, and then you have Dark Arm Dragon, 3 pops, right? Sets that out perfectly. We can even possibly get more because if we use Hyperiton and send Arsenal Falcon off of the Xe material, then we're gonna have another pop, and we have 2 more underneath UFD as well. 2 more pops right there. So it's there. I think the deck is pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. See ya.